Hey friends, and welcome to another video. Happy July. I cannot believe we're in the second half of 2021. That's insane. Anyways, welcome back to another Coffee Chattin' with Evelyn episode where we sit down, have a nice casual one-on-one over some coffee on some special topic that we choose. So recently I've had a bunch of interns reach out to me to have some chats, and a common question that I'm always asked is, what should I do before leaving the internship? Are there certain things that I should make sure that I take care of, that I do before leaving? And I figured, why not have a coffee chat about it? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And in case you guys don't know me already, hello, I'm Evelyn. Nice to meet you. And I'm a product manager working in tech, and I make weekly videos here about career, about lifestyle, really just anything going on in my life that I want to share with you guys. And it's about to be super exciting. It's not that exciting right now, but soon I'll be in New York City and I'll also be in Chicago, and I'm so excited to take you guys with me into the office, which I'll be going back into for the first time in over a year. So subscribe if you want to see more content like that. Anyways, for today's video, I just wanted to share sort of like top 10 things that I think interns should make sure to do, or at least that I feel like I should have definitely done prior to leaving my internship. And if you have anything to add, please do leave them down in the comments below. I'm sure that'll be helpful to others as well. I will say that these tips are more geared towards tech interns, specifically tech interns working at large tech companies. So, take everything I say with a grain of salt, but I do think in general, a lot of these tips will also be helpful regardless of where you are working, as long as you're an intern, of course. So the first 5 things I'm going to be talking about are things that I feel like I actually didn't really hear too much about, that advice people gave. And then the last 5 things are going to be kind of the typical things that you always hear people talk about, the typical advice they give, but I wanted to make sure to include. So let's go ahead and dive into it. The first 3 tips that I have are really geared towards taking advantage of the fact that, and I feel like this is honestly one of the top perks of being in an internship, is the access that you have to the network and team around you. So right when you lose that alias, that email account, that whatever Teams account, whatever Slack account, whatever it is that you lose access to being able to easily reach out and connect to an entire network of amazing people. So that's what these 3 I'm about to dive into are really geared towards. So the first thing I would make sure you do is to talk to the new grads, or like the newer grads on your team. So people who are like 1 to 3 years out of college, because the way I see it is they're who you will be if you are to return full time after a year or 2. So those are the people who probably are closer to what roles and responsibilities that you'll be taking on. And if you're not sure who the new grads are, just ask around. I'm sure someone will let you know. So some of the questions I would ask are things like, how is onboarding onto the team? What are your projects and responsibilities like? How do you like your projects and responsibilities? What's your favorite thing you've gotten to work on so far? How's finding a social group at work been like? And yes, I am reading off notes, guys. I couldn't remember all this. How long do you think you'll stay here? Best and least favorite part of your job? And what are the opportunities like? And this will really give you a good sense of what working at that company will be like. At least I feel like it'll give you a better sense, because it's people who are literally in the exact same position that you are in. The second thing I would recommend you do is to actually reach out to other roles within your team. Now, I know this may sound a little odd, and granted, even if you are absolutely in love with your specific role, I think it's always important to reach out to other roles, not only to understand a little bit more about what it is that they do, but also understand how their role works with your role in the future. And who knows, you might even find things that you really like about the other roles that may push you to want to do another internship at that role or pursue that role full time. So some of the questions that I would ask for other roles are things like, what's a day in your life like? What are your roles and responsibilities? How do you usually work with my current role? What's your best and least favorite part of the job? And have you considered or worked in other roles previous to this one, and sort of dig deeper into like how they ended up in their current role? And then the third last kind of part to taking advantage really of your network is to reach out to actually other teams. And this is something that I feel like you might overlook because you might be in love with your product, you might be in love with your team, but it's good to just know what other teams exist at your company as well. So any sort of product or areas that might pique your interest, I highly recommend you just go and just talk to some people on those teams, learn a little bit more about the future of that product area. And I'll give you guys like my own example. So the current team that I'm on right now, I actually had no idea they were taking on this huge gigantic redesign until I reached out and was talking to some member of the team itself. And that got me really interested in wanting to switch over the team, which is actually how I ended up where I am today. So had I not reached out and talked to someone on another whole separate team, I never would have ended up where I am today, and I absolutely love where I am today. Tip number 4, and once again, this is sort of where the whole being at a larger tech company, this is probably where it plays in a little more, but it's digging into any resources that they have available to employees. So at least from my past experience as an intern, you basically have access to anything, all the like career financial resources that all the other full-time employees have access to as well. And while you can't download and or print out any of the resources that they have and take that with you, I'm pretty sure you're more than welcome to take notes and take the knowledge with you, or at least there aren't rules in place where you're not able to note down and take that knowledge with you. So definitely dig deep into their career resources, their financial resources, and take as much of that knowledge with you as possible, because they've got a lot of good stuff usually in there for all their full-time employees. And tip number 5 is actually to, don't forget, before you go, take advantage of the fact that you can currently refer friends or peers or family, whoever it may be, for your specific company. I feel like this is something that a lot of people often forget towards the end because you're so busy thinking about your own role and what you're gonna return as and whatnot, that you forget hey, you have this special power right now to give anyone else that you'd like a little push, a little nudge. And so don't forget, see if you can help refer people into the company as well. I know sometimes recruiters will have special forms for interns to help refer other interns, but I believe some companies also allow you to just refer directly through the career site itself. So however you can refer people, try to take advantage of the fact that you have that superpower before you're gone. And my last 5 tips are really just the classics, but I feel like I should include them. So number 6 is make sure you, of course, have that final assessment, final meeting with your manager. Talk about what went great, talk about what could have gone better. Just get a general feel for how your internship went. Number 7 is, if you can, share back your project, share back your learnings with the team, not only with your immediate team, but try to share it with your broad, entire product team as a whole, if possible. And this is not only to help you get visibility among your leadership team, but also if anyone sees your project and wants to take it on even further, that's a great opportunity for them to be able to see your project that where they might not have otherwise seen it. And of course, just get more feedback, get more eyes on your project as well. Just greater visibility as a whole is nice. And of course, it's always nice to kind of have that moment where you get to demo your final project. So if there aren't any final showcases that your company or your team has organized, talk to your manager, see if there's a way to set something up so that you have that closure for your internship. And number 8, make sure that you walk away with a clear story of your project, what it entailed, and also just the impact that your project had. So I'd work with your manager or your mentor, maybe a data analyst even, and see if you can pull together a complete story around your project and the impact it had, not only for your resume, but also for future interviews, so that you can really talk to the project itself and talk about the impact that you had. And sometimes, the impact that you feel like your project had is a lot different than what your manager or your mentor may say that your impact had, because they have a better view of sort of how that project fit into the broader lens of things. So they may be able to bring up things that you otherwise may not have known. And a data analyst is also super helpful if they can pull in actual hard numbers that you can include in your resume as well. Number 9, an obvious one, exchange contact info with your manager, your mentor, your coworkers. This can be, if you want to, you can exchange phone numbers if they're open to that. Otherwise, just connect with them via LinkedIn. It's a really great way to just sort of stay in touch and also send a little thank you message as well. And I would highly recommend you do this either right before you leave or a couple weeks after, just because you want to, send that over when they have your name fresh in their mind. Granted, I'm sure, you know, you're not that easy to forget. People get busy, they get caught up in things, and especially if it's someone that you only worked like once or twice with, it's just better if they remember your name a little bit more if it's more fresh in their mind. And the last tip I have, once again, a very simple one, is to download any sort of documents that were sent over to your email alias that you will no longer have access to once you leave. So mainly probably just like financial documents, any sort of return offer type deals, make sure you download those as well. Anything in your email that's personal information that you feel is really important for you to take with you, pay stubs, things like that, make sure you download. And those are the 10 tips I have for you interns. Congrats to you guys who are currently wrapping up or about to wrap up your internship. I cannot believe how quickly this summer has flown by, and I hope this helps you be able to finish off on a strong note. If others have any sort of additional tips, please do leave them down in the comments below. I'm sure there's a lot more that I haven't captured. And yeah, that's all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you down in the comments below. Bye.